Hi, my name is Sam Price, the Crypto Lifer, and every single Friday I do a macro technical analysis video. We're going to go over Bitcoin. We're going to go over the total market cap of all the cryptocurrencies. We're going to look at the altcoins. We're going to look at the DXY, which is the dollar index. We're also going to look at the S&P futures, the NASDAQ, gold, probably some Ethereum, and more. So if this gets you going, if you want to see a macro look at the world markets, see what's happening. I've called bottoms for the S&P doing this. Some of my big macro videos have been amazing, helping people navigate the bigger picture of what's happening. Let's jump on in right now. We'll start with Bitcoin and continue through the other assets. Let's have some fun. Let's break it down. We're also going to look at dominance, see if the money's flowing out of Bitcoin into Tether and more. This is things you got to find out if you want to make a, pretty good call on the market. You want to know this information before you jump on in. So let's see what's happening. Let's break it down. First thing we're going to look at is BTC. For me, Bitcoin was in this beautiful triangle. It was starting to make a symmetrical triangle, get tight. It was getting nice. We had this break back to the top of the triangle just a couple days ago. On the 16th, Monday, we had a huge bump, 108,000, 109K, and then we came back down. And for me, we kind of left this pattern. Now we're bearishly retesting this pattern, and this has, basically it's a symmetrical triangle. That could go either way as far as I'm concerned. If we break down, we head back somewhere to 97,000, which could be a beautiful rebound point for Bitcoin and get people back in that weren't able to get those low prices. It could just give people a chance to scoop up, some cheaper Bitcoin. We could still get back above and into this channel, but it's looking pretty sketchy. I'll look at the weekly and the monthly right now on the macro so you can kind of see what's happening on the bigger picture. Right now, the monthly also doesn't look amazing. We're tweezer topping on the monthly. If that closes as such in the next 10 days, that could be a bearish sign that Bitcoin is going to come back down, maybe even make an M pattern. Is this the end of the rally? Does this mean that we're in for a bear market? I don't think that could be happening for sure, but it's definitely a slight possibility. You have to entertain it because we got bearish div on the weekly where we got the 21 somewhat away from the 200 moving average, and things aren't perfect. So you'd have to start entertaining the fact that the weekly is a little overbought and a little higher than we'd want it to be. I'm going to go to the all-time history index just to give you as much information as I can here. And so, the weekly, you can see whenever the 200 and the 21 are far apart, we're starting to get at least, I'd say 60, 70% through the rally. Every time Bitcoin started the rally, it was tight. As the 21 and the 200 got further and further apart, we got further towards the end of the rally till they got so far apart, things started to stutter step, especially with this bearish divergence here. It's telling me that we could get some type of pullback for Bitcoin. Now, could it end up making a rising wedge? This is the speculative idea that I got that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about. That we end up just coming right back down here. Bitcoin makes a bigger pullback because it had a huge pump. It looks like it would have to pull back. And then let's pull the Fibonacci from basically this level here, from that impulse. And if you pull a Fibonacci from here, you can clearly see that we could come to the 0.5 or to the 0.618. And if you pull a Fibonacci from this wick impulse, because we did start a big move from there, we could come back down to 99,100K, even to the 786 Fib, which would put us at about $97,000. This would just make Bitcoin pull back for the next 6 to 8 weeks, right? Then we could get a move. This would get tight, and then we could basically carry on with our bigger move September, November, and December, and get a rate cut as well, right? Get a blow off top and send Bitcoin somewhere to this high at about $170,000 BTC. So even if we have this nasty pullback to 100,000 to the 618, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So there's your bearish / bullish scenario for Bitcoin where the bearish divergence kicks in. We do pull back, but we hold that 618 fib and we turn into a rising wedge. Your more bullish scenario is somehow, some way, we hold this 104,400 level, which we keep holding, no matter how hard we keep testing it. Today, we're breaking it again. Right now, we are below it. I'd like to see this weekly candle close back above it. If the weekly candle closes below it Sunday night, you'd have to think we're going to go to 102,007 and then even further down. I'd get into the smaller time frames, but I really just want to give you the macro right now. So here it is. The weekly stays above 104.4, and we get this type of bullish scenario where we could be getting a bounce, turning this into some type of consolidative ascending triangle, and then breaking out, even bigger with less bearishness. Or do we get the pull back to the 618 like I showed you earlier and still get the bounce And could that change bigger trajectories? It may. It may. Right now, I'm looking for Bitcoin to close the weekly candle above 104,460. It's very, very important. It's been doing it recently. I'm losing faith each time these candles get tighter. If I had to make a call for you, which way is it going to go? I'd have to say it's more likely we're going to pull back just based on the weakness of the charts, and the tweezer tops there on the weekly. Every time we had a tweezer top on the weekly, we have had some type of bigger pullback. So I take that into account if I had to make a call. But again, maybe in 2 weeks we're up here and this flag looks better, and that's not really going to be the case. So one step at a time. But if I had to make a call, it does look more bearish than bullish right now for Bitcoin. We take a look at the total market cap. We take a look at the total market cap in all of cryptocurrency. See what's happening here for BTC, and it's the same story really. Like, can we make that cup and handle like I got drawn? Can we end up breaking out? Like, is there really enough bearishness to push this price down? We're actually pretty close to the 21-day moving average here on the weekly, which suggests a lighter pullback. When you're closer to the 21, it's less likely you're going to dump. So this tells me that we could get some movement in these altcoins. We could get some, basically the dollar dropping a little more, which puts stress. And, so maybe 2 to 3 more weeks and we test 3.1. It doesn't say we're going to pump anytime soon. It does say we may consolidate or just slowly bleed down a little bit. But it's not all bad for the total market cap. We could still make this beautiful cup and handle 3 weeks from now and be breaking out to the upside and doing some damage. The bear scenario is that as a lower high, we come and take out this low and we start to drop. It looks more unlikely, but it could happen for sure. You take a look at that 3-day chart, and the 3-day chart's getting more oversold. And so very similar to Bitcoin, it's making this pattern here. It would be great if we get a bounce. If we get a bounce, this will change the scenario, give us more likelihood of what's called a bull panic, and then help that we could get a breakout. So in the next 6 days, if you're up here, bullish. If you're down here, far more bearish, more likely you're going to $2.63 trillion. I like to look at total 3. It's the market cap of all of the altcoins excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. This one's struggling a little bit. Same cup and handle, same vibe. We wanted this thing to pump. And, I pulled the Fibonacci here from this impulse to there. And you could say maybe we just have to pull back all the way to that 618 and go a little lower. So it could be signaling the fact that we do have to pull back further back down to that 618 and major resistance at $916 billion here and also here too as well. This level here, we also getting a bit of a bounce, possibly, but it looks more bearish than bullish to me as well. If anything, this had what we needed going on and we lost the level. Like, it had kind of that lower level like we saw for Bitcoin and the total market cap, but we lost that level by now. So right now, the altcoins look like they're struggling. They don't look amazing. I actually see a head and shoulder pattern for the altcoins, which makes me wonder why, what's happening. Are people going to be, is Bitcoin going to go on some tear so big that people just feel like there's just going to be no altcoin season? That stresses me out right there. If you were if you just jumped in, I would be stressed out. I've held long altcoins for a long time now, but it hasn't been easy to hold. Shoulder, head, right shoulder suggests we could come to the 618 or lower. I would have to get a bounce. Like, I really wouldn't have faith in altcoins till I see us back above $879 billion. Right now, I'd have to say that the altcoins are going to pull back. I'd love this analysis to be wrong, okay? And maybe we get the bounce sooner than later. And so what everyone's hoping is just like that Bitcoin chart that I showed you, that somehow, some way this turns into that falling wedge. And this is just that fear that people are using to, you can use to buy. But there's a good chance that we go lower. And so we're looking for this just like Bitcoin to see if the falling wedge can break back to the upside. We get some movement back in this market. But right now, like, you got to say it's more bearish than bullish. The charts aren't conveying a really strong message that there's going to be an influx of money flowing into the market. If anything, they look the opposite to me. And I would be looking for that 618 or maybe even lower. So right now, the altcoins don't look amazing as well on my radar, which is what it is. I'm usually more bullish, right? But right now, I see kind of head and shouldering, shoulder, head and shoulder. And the bulls are going to have to turn around and show us something to change the way this is looking. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance, right? That should be rising. Bitcoin dominance rises when the market is in stress. People don't want to lose a lot of money in altcoins, so they sell their altcoins off and put the money into Bitcoin, right? Which gives Bitcoin dominance a rise. The only thing you can see is, well, Bitcoin dominance rise also when Bitcoin pumps, right? But Bitcoin dominance can rise also when Bitcoin dumps and altcoins dump, because people are going to run out of altcoins. So if you see Bitcoin dominance rising and you see Tether dominance rising, then you know people are running out of everything and just using Bitcoin as a hedge. If you see Bitcoin dominance rising but Tether dominance dumping, then you know Bitcoin's going on a tear. If you see Bitcoin dominance dumping and Tether dominance dumping, you know it's going into the altcoins. So altcoin season comes when you see Bitcoin and dominance dumping and Tether dominance dumping. So right now we can see that Bitcoin dominance looks like it's pumping, like it broke out and it's making a flag, or you can say, and it looks like it wants to continue. It suggests there's some more pumpage coming for Bitcoin, more money flowing into Bitcoin. Whether that's good or bad for the price of Bitcoin is to be determined. We're going to have to look at Bitcoin dominance right now together and Tether dominance. So right now we're going to look at Tether dominance, and that's going to tell us a story. If Tether dominance looks like it's about to soar, we could have some trouble here in paradise. So right now, it looks a lot like Bitcoin dominance, right? They're both kind of in this channel that could be breaking out. And it does look to me, and that's that head and shoulder that everything else is in. It's just upside down, you see? That looks more bullish than bearish, right? The daily has some legs to climb. This could continue to the upside. So it is telling me to watch the chart and to be careful. It's saying, hey, you know, we might see a big surge here in Tether dominance. There could be some type of black swan event going on. Watch your altcoins, you know. And again, that's why I predominantly stayed in Bitcoin the last few years, even though I did build an altcoin position, just because Bitcoin had less risk and had, you know, to me, a huge potential upside on the institutional side. And so that led me to believe that, you know, and that speculation was correct. This time, you know, and again, I was less greedy this time too as well. So I was okay to withstand the opportunity cost of maybe not being in so many altcoins. And I got pleasantly rewarded this time, you know, and more, I would have got scolded other times, right, for not being so heavy in altcoins. But this time, this cycle, I got rewarded for it. So this looks like it could boom. I mean, look at the 4 hours about the blast. That tells me to watch your altcoins, watch Bitcoin. Looks like Tether dominance is about to go on some type of tear here. I don't know why, but I'd be careful. This is definitely the warning sign right now for the market. All right. And I usually don't do that. Usually I'm just like, you know, but I got to show you what I see happening and let you know for sure that it's not looking amazing. So that's Bitcoin, right? The total market cap of all the cryptos total 3, Bitcoin dominance and Tether dominance. This leads me to the DXY because they kind of go somewhat hand in hand. And the DXY should be looking somewhat more bullish than bearish. Last time I looked at it, the DXY looked bearish, like it was going to go further to the downside. And it has some head and shouldering. It actually looks a lot like Bitcoin right now for whatever reason. So it looks like, you know, it may want to dump, like shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, shoulder. You see that? Looking pretty bearish to me. If I had to place that doesn't look amazing at all. Yeah, I'm looking at the daily, and it's like collapsing. Slight bullish divvy there. Can you get the bounce? Trying to do an inverted head and shoulder back to the upside. Attempting a falling wedge breakout. But to me, it's showing signs of life, and I wouldn't be surprised if it just, you know, even showing signs of life there with that breakout, but I wouldn't be surprised if it just rolls over here. Falls out a falling wedge. So if the DXY gets back above here, look for the right shoulder. It's interesting because it has a lot of other stresses on it with the interest rate and all that. Look for this to make a right shoulder. It can break back out to 102. You would expect it to bounce if Bitcoin's going to dump. So you'd expect that to also make, you know, but I have also seen it dump with Bitcoin when the market's bearish too as well. With that being said, I want to jump into gold and just kind of see gold has been more bullish whenever we've had these, you know, war times and all this, you know, a lot of back and forth, especially gold and oil. They tend to pump. I got a look on gold. It looks like it's going to bounce here. It says, hey, this is a great price to get into gold. It's going to bounce off the bottom and pump. So we might have a problem in some of these risk-on assets, but gold, right? So it basically saying some type of black swan event could be happening. You know, whatever Trump does there with you know who, That's going to affect us for the next few months, even maybe for the next few years, what happens in the next couple of weeks. So gold suggesting a big move. And honestly, it looks like there may be a black swan event. I have to be honest. Like, the charts are kind of conveying. Again, I've always seen black swan. Then I've looked back at the charts and I said, man, the chart showed us. So I've been through these before. I'm one of the few traders out here that have been through multiple black swans. 20 years of trading. I was in 08 crisis. I was here and just all sorts of nonsense. I've seen many, many crazy crashes. The COVID crash as well. In 2020, I was live streaming during that. That was 5 years ago, now. So yeah, I'm starting to get some warning signs here. I usually don't talk like this. I'm starting to see some warning signs. Look at the gold looking nice. Look at the way the dominance is looking for Tether. Look at the way Bitcoin dominance is setting up. Those three things are all kind of coming in together. And I've looked at all these macro assets over and over again. They start telling you a picture when you look at them every week. Let's take a look at the S&P futures. If there were to be a black swan, I mean, that would also start to kind of fall further to the downside, right? Like, this rising wedge would break down, not break up. It is a rising wedge right now. I also see a bit of a diamond. Where is it? On the 12-hour there? It kind of looks like a diamond to me there. Let me show you what I'm talking about. But it has diamond vibrations, diamond vibes there. Almost looks like it's already breaking out the diamond to the downside or trying to retest the bottom of the diamond already, Anyway, it's sloppy. It's not perfect. And that could even be making a right shoulder. I almost feel like we fell out of the pattern and we're outside right now. We barely retested. We need to get back inside. Otherwise, we could fall back. And I know I've been predicting this bigger move. But a black swan is a black swan. If we never had this event happen, price action would probably still be doing dandy. That looks like it could make a right. Look, we got the shoulder, head, right shoulder. And then we could fall off. It is very oversold. So it's not horrible. If we get back above like even 6,075, then we're back inside this pattern. But to me, I'm barely retested right now, and Bitcoin also struggling. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Had a nice pump this morning too. And again, it's still inside this, but rising wedges do break down 68% of the time, right? So it could set up perfectly for a black swan. It really could. Like, we'd come up, we'd make this right shoulder. You'd have shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then boom. Wah, 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 right? And then everyone would start talking fear. If you can bounce and go sideways, then we're getting the parabolic move. So if in the next 2 weeks we're back up in here, then I shrug it off. But we could be making that right shoulder. I'd watch that, and it could take about a week and a half to play out. Everyone says in 2 weeks, Trump will give you the information of what's going to happen. Almost looks like it's lining up perfectly there as well. We take a look at ETHBTC. That was hanging on. If that starts looking bearish and falling off, then the whole market's going to fall off too. And it does look like it could roll over. See how the Stokes are kind of curving in the center? We didn't get the breakout as suggested. And honestly, when I play this out now, it looks more like a descending triangle that could break to the downside. We wanted if ETHBTC break, that means Bitcoin and Ethereum are both dumping. And what if it comes all the way back down to here and they kind of both dump together? ETHBTC. So that's also kind of ominous. I have to be honest, it doesn't look amazing. It does not look amazing. So the macro outlook right now is a bit sketchy. And there's a lot of red flags for this week. So just be careful. Let's hope we get through it the best we can and see where we end up next week. But right now, when I come back next week, it could be a whole different world. So stay safe. Keep your head on a swivel. Anything could happen. You can see the macro analysis is telling us that there could be some trouble along the way. So, hey, the TA always is there for you. It can foreshadow things before they happen. So pay attention. That's why I do these videos every single week, no matter what. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch more of this content, I go live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. I also jump in the morning on the weekends so you can find out more. Thank you for being here. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notification. You can find out when I post my next video. And remember, if you came to my channel, then you're already doing the right thing. Crypto is life.